This is great.
So, Trey, we got you on today. The conversation we want to go into is a little unique. We want to obviously recap 2024 and foreshadow 2025. So anytime we can get the director of Indiana operations on the podcast to tell us where his mind's going in 2025, we know our mind's going to be right in line.
Yeah,
so
line and out grind.
But let's focus on 2024 because, again, that was a long year.
It was.
What's the highlights? What would you say, going back to 2024, that's kind of the pinnacle of it, or that was kind of the theme?
So, going into 24, we were, our theme was own it. We were talking about a lot of wins that we had in 23, right? And with the new car landscape, we saw it changing with certain brands, but we didn't know exactly what was going to happen. So, as you are well aware of, most have kind of reestablished themselves to somewhat of a new norm. Not all, but most. So, going into it, we identified, hey, we need to be playing better defense because really since post-COVID, the team really did a great job with playing aggressive offense, growing profitabilities, selling a lot of used cars in 23.
Yep.
And, 24, the end of 23, we really got caught with our pants down with high used car inventories.
Which is never a good thing.
Not a good thing. And, going into the off season and gaining more new car inventory, that all, goes the wrong way. And so we took a lot of wholesale loss in quarter 4 of 23. And so I would say one thing that the team did a really good job at across the board is instilling more discipline and playing better defense on areas such as wholesale.
Yeah.
On the pre-owned side, and areas such as policy across the board. So, statistically speaking, we were around 5 or 6% as a percent of gross in 23 for policy. And without December data really finalized yet, we're coming in right around 2%.
Wow.
So, when we talk defense, that defense mindset is going to equal millions of dollars. That really wasn't changed at the customer level. It was changed either after the sale or internally inside of the dealership's processes and mindset. So I think, with that being said, 2024 will go down as one of our best years ever, which I think is bucking the trend. What we'll see here in January, we're going to see some Q4 reports in 2024, which you're going to see a lot of whining and complaining, which I think there's a lot to be grateful for in the Rohrman Auto Group.
So defense does win championships.
It does. It makes offense in a tough year. I mean, it still is a really tough year, but it makes it to where, hey, we don't have to do as much on the offensive side of the ball to have paychecks, have profitability.
For sure.
And, coaching that negative mindset.
What did you see from a wholesale perspective? What did the guys really do well? How do you control that? Because the values are just all over the place, right? You have some months where it increases, some months where these models just absolutely tank. Yeah. What do you think the secret was?
Well, I'd say the biggest secret on the wholesale side of the game was our purchase strategy. 23, we had that mindset of any car sells on our lot when, we found that's not the case. There's a reason why that sign out front costs millions of dollars, and really it creates
the franchise sign.
The franchise sign, not the Rohrman brand, but the franchise sign really creates like a destination. And it's easy to lose track of that, especially when you're in the day-to-day grind. I've caught myself going, "Hey, this dealer down south of town sells these Canadians. Why can't we?" Right? Well, that's just a totally different model. Doesn't mean that we should play in that game. And we got to, in 23, we were playing some of that game where it was throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball.
Yep.
No blocking, no route running, minimal strategy. And so the biggest piece was stocking cars that we know either our brand. So, we fall in that 60 to 70% like mine OEM, right? So at a Toyota store, I have a bunch of Chevys and Subarus.
Yeah.
We just don't historically do well with those. And we grasp that, You know, a lot of our general managers, myself included, got burnt by the oven in Q4 of 23. And
breaking news, it was hot.
It hurt. It was so hot that I even find myself right now looking at 25, and I won't spoil my word for 25.
Ooh.
But I'm trying to now like teach and push, like, hey, it's okay to get burnt once, but that doesn't mean we don't ever go back to that oven, because we got to go back. We got to cook it up.
Right there, showing the car business is the same life lessons you teach your 8-year-old at home.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not that hard.
Let's talk about
that hard.
You mentioned off season, and I know this has been a big thing for you. Like this part of the year, you're calling it the off season. So what are you working on right now?
I think for me during the off season, it's getting back to some things that I was doing back in 2019. So, you know, for many years, I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to pricing rules on the new car side. I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to ground stock, right? I haven't really paid a whole lot of attention to even just staffing headcount at each store, because, I mean, if I'm being honest, we got a little fat and a little lazy, and, you know, for all those operators out there, 50 to 60% of your expense comes down to personnel. And as we go into this, you know, lower PVR, new age, 2025, I think looking at headcount is going to be a big thing. So off season is a great time to do that. We sell 15 to 20% less in these couple months right here that we're living in. So we can do the same with less. You know, Grandpa, one of my favorite things he used to say was, 1 porter is 1 porter, 2 porters, 1.5 porters, and 3 porters is 1.5 porters. So, you know, as you add these positions, it doesn't mean you get more out of it.
Yeah.
And I think looking at sales, porters, every role, really. Because even if you overstaff at the sales manager role, it doesn't mean that you're going to sell more cars. And does that just make everyone's life easier? Is that really right? So,
yeah, I think it's interesting too, because like we've looked at the stats before, you know, 2023, the net to sales was twice what it is right now, just from a national average. So like as the margins get slimmer, it's like, oh man, we actually have to pay attention to this stuff again. So it's interesting.
All right, I'm done with this. You guys give me something sexy in 2024.
Yeah.
Defense, that's not my MO. I don't like defense. I want to bomb the ball.
You got to hit the
I
fairway.
Bomb and gouge.
You got to hit the fairway.
If you've been around my golf game, there's no short game. Give me something sexy in 2024. What is like a highlight that you got that you're like, that was a home run? Saving money. That's not us.
well, if I'm going to highlight a store, you know, Dave Pearsall down at Indy Honda. So our BHAG is
That's
best
a
of
bomb
class.
and gouge. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so, you know, it's 3 years ago now. We set our BHAG at being a best class dealer group.
Yep.
Hard to believe 3 years. Well, that's a 10-year goal. So, you know, 30% of the timeline's behind us now, and our first dealership did it.
Wow.
Right? So Indy Honda, shout out to them. Dave Pearsfield, his team. You know, they had a huge year.
What does it take to be a best of class dealer? What do you mean by that?
Bombing and gouging.
I mean, yeah,
I think
because a lot of people don't know what that means.
Yeah, so, you know, kind of breaking it down for them, you have to really do well in each department. You can't leave a child behind. So, not that this is not a
Shout out to George W. Bush.
This is not a parenting podcast.
Oh, this went back to 2001. Go ahead.
But, you know, not leaving a kid behind. So, like, for instance, Indy Honda, they had a record used car profitability year.
Yeah.
They had a record profitability year in new car department. And then they had another all-time record in fixed operations. So, you know, I think there's a lot of stores that are having wins and are seeing success, but they're not seeing it like it takes to be the best of class dealership like Indy Honda did this year. So, like, if you look at all the numbers, you know, they didn't just hit well. They field well. You know, they're staffed with some stable players. So, yeah, it's pretty cool to see. I think that is a home run.
That is more than a home run. And I would say from the peanut gallery, the part that's always been exciting from Dave, and I've learned so much from just observing, is not only does it, you know, operate as best of class, but he's operating in a very non-traditional way to get to best of class. And that's kind of the part that from the sidelines I've watched is like, not only is he winning in all these areas, but he's doing it his way, which could very easily be picked apart and going, you should do it this, and this way, and you could do more here. But he's like, I've thought it through. This is my strategy. This is my game plan. And it kind of circles back to your non-sexy strategy, defense, discipline mindset. Yeah. So, okay,
He's
I guess I got to work on it.
Yeah, Dave is very disciplined.
Guess got to change in 2025. Be more like Dave.
So 2025, let's talk about it. Yeah. Since you brought it up, I want to talk facilities. I want to talk facilities. Like, we got a lot of cool stuff.
One of my least favorite topics.
Oh, come on, though.
When are they going to be done, Trey?
This is cool, though.
In my role, I don't really do a whole lot with facilities. That's more of Brother Ryan's.
Brother Ryan's.
Sounds like a band, because it is a band. Shout out to Robbie Saganek. It's more, when he named it Brother Ryan's, I'm like, that's kind of interesting. But anyways, that's more his bread. But I can talk about it because, in 24, we really only had 2 facility projects, and 25, it's gonna be.
Well, the big one's in Fort Wayne.
Mess.
Grand opening in Fort Wayne, right? Those facilities are pretty much done.
Yeah.
Kia, Lexus, Toyota.
Yeah, they're completely done. I mean, if you want to pick it apart, plants and furniture may not be all
it's all right. We
assigned.
can wait till spring for those.
It drives Jamie crazy, but other than that, no, they're having an awesome December. Shout out to the Fort Wayne Toyota team. I mean, they're on pace to sell 100 new, which they've never done in December. Wow. If they sell 96, it'll be their 3rd best all-time volume year in a time where Toyota doesn't have cars. So, those extra inventories, the GMP units definitely are helping them.
For sure.
But, they've got a lot of exciting things, coming in 2025. Brand new facilities, and inventory and great brands.
So you have 3 stores in Fort Wayne that are going to celebrate a grand opening. Should have one in Indianapolis for sure with Indy Honda.
Yeah.
I saw photos the other day that currently is a demo site.
It's a mess.
So Indy Honda should in 2025. Indy Hyundai should.
Indy Hyundai should.
So that's 5. And then
Lafayette Honda is going to be a mess here really soon. A mess.
Lafayette Hyundai should be done.
It should be done in the next 6 months.
Pretty much.
So you could potentially have
We're waiting for weather on that one.
7 to 8 dealerships in 2025 that have been rebuilt, reinvested into.
A hammer's swinging.
Whew. How's it going to affect
Doesn't
the
sound
numbers,
like defense.
How's it affect
the negative part of it, which I'm embracing, is come August, rent factors are all going to be reevaluated from the board.
Sure.
So that's a fun one because with, brand new multi-million-dollar investments come increased rents. Yeah, that's fair. That's normal. But now how do you produce more?
Yes.
Right? When margins are compressing. So not only are your expenses fixed expenses, we have no control over it. They're going up, right? And our margins are going down. We have to sell volume. So volume is my word for 2025.
Ooh.
Probably need to hold this podcast for another week. Let them get it out to all the GMs. First, breaking news. Logan, hit the music.
Volume.
Breaking news.
So sell more.
Raise the roof.
Service more.
Volume.
So that's your
more
MO this year is more volume, raise the roof. I want to see this every time we have a meeting.
Yeah.
I like it.
Guys, how are we raising the roof? So last week I had, I'll share a little story. So last week I had my first 5 annual reviews with general managers all in Fort Wayne. And I came out of there excited, but a little bit of nervousness because of the mindset, right? What I love about these reviews is it gives me 2 to 3 hours where it's just me and them and listening to what their quarter 1 looks like. And, talking about that oven being hot, a little trauma. We're a little nervous, I think, to go back after volume. And it's, what was a big surprise for me was March historically has always been huge.
Yep.
Even when we didn't have cars, it was huge. So when I was looking at forecasts for March in these reviews, I had to do some of this. You know, January, I understand.
Yeah.
Snow can be falling.
Because last year March was
Wind
not
can
good.
be blowing.
Well, January.
And why? I can't
It
remember.
wasn't great.
January and February were phenomenal. If you remember, we
Yeah.
literally
Yeah.
plowed snow one day, and I
Yeah.
think it all melted by like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. So, like,
Yeah.
I laughed because we left the plow on for the first time ever because we never used it. And it was like, well, what's the point of putting this thing on and taking it off?
But you never know.
So,
Can you imagine if the temperatures these last 48 hours?
Ooh.
hours?
we
We would have had
30
foot.
inches of snow.
Yeah, feet. We could have feet of snow.
I think that's the crazy part too. Is just I laughed when you said I went back and started thinking about 2019, but really that's where I have a whiteboard in my office. You guys have seen it, and it has all the years I've been a general manager and what our net profits are. And someone always says, "Why do you have that up there?" And I'm like, it's an honest, constant reminder of where we are today is not what reality is. And I think that our reality is shifting. It's kind of like the housing market where people have sat and not bought for so long because prices are inflated. Well, guess what? I think it's going to stay somewhat inflated to where this is the new reality. But same thing in this of like, I need to make sure my mind is wrapped around how hard I worked in 2019 to create that profit, and that it's no different than what I did in 2023. Just what is the reality of where that profit's going to be. So going back to that, I think is such a realistic mindset of, hey, we're going to have to push. We're going to have to get uncomfortable. Your goals may not align with where we need to be because we have a track record of 3 years, not 7 years, 10 years, 15. So the good is behind us. We do know that. Now it's the battle.
The easy goods behind us.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. The battle sometimes
easy,
is
but
more
it's
rewarding
not.
than the kickback and just rake it in kind of thing.
right.
2025, end it here for you. What is the Trey Rohrman New Year's resolution? Doesn't have to be business.
So I'm really excited right now, because I am, those who know me, I'm either all in or all out. And so I'm excited because I didn't wait for 25 to get here to start some new habits. I'm going on 4 weeks of working out, guys.
Whoa.
Which
Record.
we know each other well. Historically, I
news.
haven't worked out.
December resolution, I love it. Change the game. It's
Yeah,
good.
like let's get it early. Why wait? So me and do you guys remember Tony Horton?
Yes.
P90X.
Yes.
My goodness.
Classic.
So guys, he's 65 now. We need to tag Tony Horton. So
Are you keeping up with him?
He's 65 now. No, he's on tonal now.
Wow.
So I'm working out with Tony Horton 3 days a week, and then I'm riding it. I'm back on the Peloton.
No, I'll check
Love
that.
it.
Get on.
I'll go to the app
You
right
need
now.
to get
Trey.
on.
I'll go to the app right now.
I have one that's been sitting in my garage for a
Yeah,
while.
you got
guys,
it because I got
let's
it. Who
get
got
it going.
My wife did.
Come on.
Cut the podcast. We're not exercising. Get this out.
So 25. I am. I've got an executive coach now. That's not my
Wow.
father-in-law.
Well, that's
So,
a big.
yeah.
That's a big step
I'm
up.
paying an executive coach personally, so I'm taking it serious. 24, man, especially the second half of 24, reality slapped me a couple times, and I just, not that I have regrets of the last 15 years, but like I want this next 15 to be different. I want to be a little more proactive versus reactive to like what my wife is asking me or the business is asking me. So like, how can I be a healthier me, which I hate it at times because it sounds kind of selfish. I mean, in all reality, like, how can I take care of me? But in all reality, if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of the people that the Lord's asked us to steward in relationships. So 25 is going to be an exciting year, and I'm going to be the healthiest I've ever been.
I love it.
What about the donut you were eating when you walked in here?
No donut.
No donuts,
But,
just kidding.
Hey, well, you will. I will not sacrifice enjoying food.
I was gonna say
Okay.
you're kind of a foodie.
I really enjoy food, and it doesn't mean no sugar.
Yep.
It means being, just mindful.
I like that.
I'm not just gonna sit down with a bag of Oreos.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be homemade.
That tray is gone.
It's gonna be on a trip with our team or something. But
Makes
more
sense.
water, more coffee.
Hey, you're already proactive in it. That's the
Yeah,
shout out 4 weeks.
I didn't wait for 25, so I'm excited about that.
That's a good lesson.
Mind, body, spirit. Mind, body, spirit. So those are the 3 areas.
2025. Breaking news. New Year's resolution
Mind,
here.
Get them
body,
aligned.
Spirit.
Well, we're off and rolling. So we obviously wrapped up 2024. 2025's here. I think we're excited for it. All I know is I got to go change my forecast because I think my meeting's next
March.
week.
Yes.
Hey, do not give me a
March.
week. March.
400% increase volumes.